Welcome to the Town of Danvers Planning Board meeting of October 25th. I'm Jim Sears, the chairman. Before we start, I would just like to recognize Margaret Peg Zielinski, who passed away last week, who was a member of this board for over 20 years. She started the year after I came on in '99, so she started in 2000, and she was a real asset to the town. Her opinions, her assistance, her experience from her day job, and we didn't always agree on everything, but she brought a great insight, and she was very active and participated on other boards and strategic committees for the town. And it's, she was a real fighter. She battled cancer, as we know, for the last few years. So it's just, if we could have a moment of silence for Peg. Thank you. In that said, we have a new member, I believe. Is Tim joining us this evening?
Yep, you're on the...
There, Tim. Thank you, Tim. Tim Spittle is a new member of the board. Welcome, Tim. He's joining us remotely. We do have the hybrid meeting still, where we have a live meeting here at the Senior Center in addition to a remote meeting available by Zoom through the town website. One other thing, just so I can announce, there will be a strategic planning meeting for members of our board and the public, right, Aaron? On November 9th, the strategic plan?
Yeah, there'll be more information forthcoming.
Yeah, so strategic plan meeting, it's going to be a Zoom meeting from 6 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, November 9th. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of the country then, but there'll be several meetings throughout the year to help craft and look at strategic planning for the town in the future of zoning, from a zoning perspective and planning perspective. So more information to follow on that. So without further ado, the first item this evening is 21 Ingersoll Street, Endicott Park, and 29 Ingersoll Street, Glen Magna. Request by the Town of Danvers for endorsement of approval not required plan for 21 Ingersoll Street, Assessors Map 33, Lot 2, and 29 Ingersoll Street, Assessors Map 33, Lot 1. Lou George is going to recuse himself, so Lou, you would have to just leave the room for a minute. Thank you. So Aaron is here on behalf of the Town of Danvers. Aaron?
Thank you. Unique position for me to find myself in, to be representing the town as an applicant for a division of land, and also by extension the Historical Societies. We've been working together on this project actually since the early 60s. This piece of trading some parcels began in earnest in the early 1980s, and unfortunately state law changes kind of made the process a bit more cumbersome, and that took the town and the Historical Society a little bit of time to get it moving again. So before you this evening is a plan of land that depicts about a 1-to-1 area swap between the Historical Society parcel that they purchased at the time the park was acquired, that houses the main mansion, Glen Magna, and involves a little bit of the land around that the town owns, that's part of Endicott Park. And while there is a little, two little small parcels off to the side, the bulk of the exchange can be described as we're taking the orchard to the southern end of the plan that we have used and maintained ever since it was acquired, below that yellow line on the screen. And the Historical Society will be receiving the parking lot that they have used since day one, that is technically ours. So in effect, they're getting their parking lot formally, we're receiving the orchard formally, and there are some reciprocal easements for access so that both parties can continue to pass to and fro from the various, through the area. But it's a pretty straightforward plan. This went through town meeting. where we petitioned the state legislature for a home rule petition in order to make this happen. That process took a little over a year, maybe 18 months or so, before we gained all the necessary legislative approvals and executive branch sign-offs that were needed to make sure that this was all blessed by the state authorities that have an interest in this site. And I'm pleased to say this is one of the last pieces in the puzzle. We have a scheduled closing for mid to late December. One final stop is some paperwork that is necessary before the Massachusetts Historical Commission, because there are preservation restrictions on these properties that need to be modified to reflect the new lot lines. But basically, this is the culmination of decades of work, and hopefully we can gain your endorsement here tonight for this important piece of the puzzle.
Just to clarify, is there an actual swap, or what is, or we're just?
Yep. So
Which parcels are we swapping?
I'm gonna.
Yeah, there's a pointer, I think, Aaron. Sorry. Nancy, sorry. All right, do you know where it is? Or the...
Unless it's been stolen again.
Oh boy. All right, I'm gonna bring the. I don't know how far I'll make it.
See if I zoom in a little bit, will that help?
Nope, you're good. This will work.
Okay, cool.
So this parcel here, it is turquoise. It probably looks blue. This is going to Glen Magna, outlined in yellow. And Joshua, if you can scroll down, this trapezoid that runs, I'll say, south of the wall is the orchard. There's a cart path there. We're using the stone wall as the new lot line, and this area, the orchard, will come to the town.
So parcel D is going to the town,
Yep.
and parcel A is going to the Historical
Yep.
Society.
And then at the top, there's two small areas that are also exchanging. So this small triangle in red is coming to the town. I apologize, it's parcel B.
Yep.
Parcel B goes to the town, and again, here, we're using the edge of the gravel road that wraps around the back of Glen Magna. If you've ever taken that cart path through the parking lot and out towards the back of the horse pasture at the park, that road is now defining the lot line.
So
and then-
that is parcel C.
That's parcel B, and then parcel C goes to Glen Magna, and again, that traces that out and erases an encroachment of one of their greenhouses.
Are there any buildable lots?
There are no buildable lots, and that's a very good question. Furthermore, while none of these are buildable parcels per se, the legislature required that all parcels being swapped be deed restricted unbuildable. So we are working with Mass Historical Commission, the state commission, to modify the preservation restrictions that cover Glen Magna and the Historical Commission property, to extend those to cover the new lands that they're taking. And our properties are covered by Article 97 of the state's constitution, which prevent them from being developed. So no new development, no new opportunities are created through this swap.
There's wetlands around there too, is there not, in the back?
There are some wetlands. That was thankfully one thing we did not have to deal with in this process. So the wetlands are really all around. The pond is just off the top of the sheet, Goodnow Pond.
Yeah,
There's wetlands all to the left
right.
on the plan, and I'm certain there's water resource areas elsewhere on the plan. But fortunately, that didn't come into play for this exercise.
I guess one of the reasons I asked, in light of the issue with a couple of the properties in town, if you were able to move a property here, where it's kind of a historic area, would that be something that could be done, as opposed to, obviously you're not building it, but you're moving it here to preserve it? Would that be prohibited?
We have talked about that issue with Mass Historical. Presently, it's our understanding that absent the land swap, if we wanted to move the train depot down to there, we would still have to modify the preservation restrictions that are in place on that property in order to make that happen. So that process doesn't change. We're restating the preservation restrictions that exist presently. So if something like that were to happen, we're not prohibited from going back and asking to make those modifications. Again, at this time, we're not aware of anything slated to move. The Historical Society's approach is about a different structure, potentially down the road, but they're working with Mass Historical. That's kind of in the delegation of duties that we've taken on. They're talking to Mass Historic, so I would assume that they're carving out any reservations that they feel that they need for the future. But on our properties, we're happy to accept the condition that nothing be buildable on the parcels that we're receiving.
Okay.
We planted an orchard on, on one of
Right.
them.
Is there town water and sewer down there?
There is.
Questions from the board? Jean?
I don't have any questions.
Tori?
No questions.
Tim, any questions on this item?
Nope, no questions from me.
All right. This is an approval not required plan, so this does not, it does not normally have public input on something like this.
Happy to take any questions if Mr. Bradstreet has
Mr.
one.
Bradstreet, if you would, we'll make an exception.
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1, on the carriage road that abuts the wetlands. Isn't there a pier down there for people to fish off? It was constructed, I don't know how many years ago, and it was altered within the last few years. Am I correct, or?
I'll have the applicant answer that.
Mr. Bradstreet is very astute and knows all things that are going on. That's actually off the plan. I guess I'm going to say northwest on the plan. I understand that's not the direction of the orientation of the plan. Well, maybe it is.
Yeah.
At the fishing pond, at the Goodnow Pond, we recently rebuilt the accessible fishing platform. We received a grant probably in 2019. I believe it was fiscal 19. We got the grant to rebuild the accessible platform. So if anyone wants to come down to the park and check out a awesome new enhancement, the old one had been showing its its age. We've completely rebuilt that. We've added an accessible walkway from that path to the handicap parking spaces that are behind the carriage house, and added an accessible walkway from those handicap spaces to the carriage house so that you can access the carriage house. So we've really made some great improvements for accessibility in that area. But strictly speaking, that's off this plan and does not affect the A&R before you.
Okay. Further questions? None? Hearing none. All right, Tori, could I have you make a motion on this approval not required plan? Is there one prepared, Josh, on this one?
No, there's not a decision, no.
I would
So-
just make a motion that we endorse this approval not required.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Tim?
Aye.
All right, opposed? None. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda. Let's see here. "30 Pickering Street, YMCA." Let me read the notice. 30 Pickering Street, request for site plan review pursuant to Section 4 of the zoning bylaws submitted by the Community YMCA of Danvers for property in Residential 1, R1 zoning district. The applicant proposes to construct 2 additions and associated site modifications. Assessors map 42, lot 151.
Thank you very much. My name is Nancy McCann. I'm here on behalf of the community YMCA of Danvers, the Danvers Y on 30 Pickering Street. And we are requesting site plan approval for a couple of minor, very small additions to the existing building that are demonstrated in the site plan package that we submitted to you. The YMCA is an exempt use under Chapter 40A, Section 3 of Mass General Laws, being a nonprofit religious organization. However, it is subject to reasonable dimensional and density requirements under the zoning bylaw. The application before you complies with all of those applicable regulations. The building itself, according to the assessor's records, was constructed way back in around 1960. And since that time, there have been a number of modifications. I've been involved in a number of them over the years that have involved site plan approval in order to allow the Y to continue to meet the needs of the community and provide the wonderful programs that it does for the benefit of the Danvers community. And that's what we have before you tonight. And compared to some of the other modifications, these are very small that we're proposing tonight. The additions consist of 2 small additions. One is an entry addition, about 412 square feet, right around the existing entryway. The second addition is about 1,091 square feet, and that's going to result in some interior improvements to the lobby area, as well as enhanced pool viewing area. So that's the purpose of those 2 additions, entry improvements and then interior lobby pool viewing area. The other addition is an addition of square footage, but it's within the existing building. We have an area of the existing building that has a very high ceiling because of the way it was designed for athletic use. So we're able to put in essentially a second story within the existing footprint of the building. And that is about 2,500 square feet, which will be used for programming, workout area, that sort of thing. So that's that addition, which is interior. You won't really see it from the outside. Other items which are, again, owing to the exempt status that are not really under your jurisdiction, but we've pointed them out in the application and they're part of your plans. We're adding some building appearance enhancements, some windows around the building and things like that. We are proposing some significant additional landscaping to the site, about 490 different plants are being added, perennials, grasses, shrubs, ground cover, and those, you do have a detailed landscaping sheet as part of the application package, which will really, they're all going to be around the front entrance area there that faces the parking lot. So those will be an attractive addition. We were required to receive an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission for the 2 additions that are being proposed, and that order has been issued. So we've completed that process. Again, we meet all of the applicable requirements for what we're proposing for dimensional and density requirements relative to this particular use. I have with me tonight John Soames, who is the Executive Director of the YMCA. Also with me remotely, Jen Hockerman is the project architect, should you have any questions with regard to the architecture. And also John Riley, who is the project engineer from Hancock Associates. And I'd like to turn it over to John, who can walk you through the details of the plans, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. So, John, you can take it away.
Great, thank you. Can everyone hear me all right?
You speak up a little bit.
All right, how about now?
Okay. It's a little better.
Sorry, I'll try and...
There's a lot of heat blowing in this room. So it's a little bit noisy with the heat fan.
No problem, I'll try and speak up. Can I have permission to share my screen so I can just scroll through all the plans?
Yes, that's fine. Sure. Let me see.
Can you see this all right?
Yes. Sure.
All right, so this is just our title sheet with some notes and a legend. Existing conditions shows the site as it is today, building, parking lot, etc. Our third sheet, layout and materials. You zoom in, you can see we're maintaining a brick patio area. The addition off to the left here, stone dust walkway. The other addition with the improved entry area and a concrete ramp. And then various landscape areas throughout marked LSA here, here, and here. And then there's a larger one off to the side of the ramp here. And then if we go to sheet 4, we have our drainage and our grading. For the increased stormwater that the impervious areas will generate to mitigate that, we've proposed an expansion of the existing underground infiltration system, which is located right here in between the parking lot and the building. That will pick up a larger area of the roof runoff and will discharge here under the gazebo. All the existing utilities are maintained, and there is an addition of a 6-inch fire suppression service to the north of the building shown here. And then I believe sheet 5 is just site details, construction details for the chambers and etc. So that's just very quickly an overview of what was proposed on the site.
Again, you do have a landscaping sheet, sheet L4, 0.01, that's part of the package also, and that's quite detailed. So I think that's it. It's a pretty straightforward application. We did receive comments from the town engineer. We actually went through 2 rounds of comments. The first round, we really addressed everything. The 2 items that are outstanding was providing some utility line information on the plan, which we've agreed to do prior to endorsement. And then the second item had to do with fire suppression system calculation, which we had agreed to do at the time of the water and water connection permit. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, Lou?
Yeah, just,
Questions?
okay. Yeah, just in terms of the, sort of, you don't anticipate any sort of change of, in terms of usage of parking and circulation. I think it was even indicated in the materials that it was really a de minimis change, really, in terms of
It
parking
is.
and such.
Yes, there is a parking calculation on the sheet that's been updated in conjunction with the additional square footage that we have here. We are required to provide 92 parking spaces, and we have 124 existing on the site. So we're all set. There is no change in hours and that sort of thing. There may be a bit of disruption during construction, of course, but no change in the hours are proposed.
Got it. And in terms of the, in terms of planting the plantings and shrubs, you wouldn't know it from today because it's been a little bit, it's been rainy lately, but I would anticipate that these are, relatively hardy plants that are going to be planted.
Yes, if you look at the planting sheet, it has the types of plantings, and Jen can speak to that more if you'd like some additional information, I believe. However, it's they're pretty localized species and drought-tolerant species because we don't want to have to be watering or attempting to water.
Right. Okay.
That's right. There is an irrigation in that center courtyard area. If you scroll on the drawings up and to the right a little bit, just to help make sure those plants are well maintained. But in general, we're trying to keep things easy for the Y and keep hardy plants in this new area.
Is the irrigation system, is it is the irrigation system a well system, or is it from town water? If you don't know the answer, that's fine, just want.
I'm not sure off the top of my head, actually.
Okay.
John, do you remember?
It's town water?
I don't know, yeah. I'd have to go back and look. I apologize, I don't know.
The water department does have special meters for irrigation.
Okay, very good. And I think and in terms of looking at the comments from engineering, I think the most recent comments were October 20th, and so you'd be willing to accept as a condition satisfaction of their concerns.
During the course of construction, and the one that I just wanted to point out is the second comment, and there were only two comments, and that will be satisfied at the time that we are seeking our water permit, and during the course of the construction itself.
Okay. And through the chair, I know we have a draft decision here. Does that is that consistent with what we have in the draft decision?
I would have to ask
Yeah, it's
Josh
on
on
here.
that one.
Satisfy all the comments in the Danvers Engineering Division.
Yes.
That is?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan. Have any further questions?
Thank you. Tori, questions?
What will the use be for the 2,500 square feet being added inside the existing footprint?
That's additional program space and workout space. Jen, do you have some additional information as to what is particularly planned for that additional 2,500 square feet?
Sure. And I can share my screen if it's helpful to show a plan, but essentially where the squash courts are currently, the double height squash courts in the back of the YMCA building, that intermediate floor, most of that intermediate floor becomes a group exercise studio. A little bit of that area becomes an office for the fitness director, and then there's a little bit of area that is part of open fitness area where you've got treadmills and bikes and things like that.
So totally consistent with their current use?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where exactly is it? On the,
Would it be helpful for me to share my screen?
sure. Just trying to figure that out.
Can everybody see my code plan here?
Yes.
So these are the two additions that Nancy was talking about in the front, and then this space in the back here, this is where the existing squash court is. If you're familiar with the Y, there's a half flight of stairs up and down at the sort of back of the lobby area that leads up to the locker rooms. So those locker rooms get removed. There's a physical therapy space, some toilet rooms, and then this space in the back that is currently the men's locker room becomes open fitness. And you can see this hatched area is the area of the addition. So we're putting in a connecting stair to get downstairs, which is more open fitness area. But you've got open sort of workout space here with equipment. You've got a small office here for the fitness director. And then you've got this group exercise studio here.
So that's above the existing squash court.
That's right, yep. And then
So
the
squash
existing
going
squash
the way of the
court.
dinosaur?
Yeah, I guess so. So that squash court space on the lower level is here, and that all opens up to one larger fitness space with treadmills and bikes and, like I said, other pieces of equipment that the Y will procure.
Other questions, Tori?
No other questions. This is an excellent facility already, and I'm glad to see that it continues to improve.
Jean?
My only question is, when do you anticipate starting construction?
We are finalizing the drawings to go to the contractor, and they're going to be shortly, and they're going to be submitting for permit shortly as well. I think the hope is that in about, John, jump in. I think the hope is about a month or so. We've got permit and got the bids all squared away, and that they can sort of begin construction toward the end of this year.
Great. Thank you.
But John Soames, if there's something I'm missing out, please feel free to jump in.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
Tim, do you have any questions on the plan?
I did notice you said that in the second floor that's being added, that it's in place of the men's locker room. Does that mean the men's locker room is moved somewhere else or just gone entirely?
It's moved forward, so we've pulled all of the locker rooms forward so that you're coming into a larger lobby, and then all of the locker rooms are there, so it's more handicap accessible as well, and easier access to the pool.
Great. All right. No other questions. Thanks.
I just had a question on the layout materials plan, C3. Just the shaded area showing the parking and the, I guess the are those like at the end of the parking fields? Are those like little curbs? Are we building onto Pickering Street? Because it looks like we are. Are we over the line, the property line?
Are you talking about if you're looking at the shaded area, the white?
Yes.
I believe that's just existing.
Yeah.
Those are existing as is.
Right.
But are they encroaching on the town right away is the question, I guess.
It looks like they're in the right of way, but that's how they exist today. There's nothing proposed to further encroach, I guess.
Well, I'm not sure we want encroachments on the town right away if that's an engineered plan. I think we have to look, and then as you go up north of that, is that landscaping that's in the town right away?
I believe it is,
Yeah.
and that's not uncommon to have that. And I think those, if my recollection serves me, I believe those addition and the endings of the little islands on the end were part of a site plan many years ago, when the addition was put on that was the wing that came out toward Pickering Street.
We may
When
not
that
have had
addition went
the benefit of shading back then, but it's pretty
Maybe.
glaring when you look at it.
Yeah, it is a little, but I think they've been there for, at least 10 or 15 years and actually provide some definition going into the site and a bit of safety for the end of those.
Well, let's talk about them. Do we really need them? And I mean, I think from the town's perspective, I'm not going to speak for the town, but I think it's an encroachment.
Is it helpful? I have the Google Earth view just so we can see what's there now. Is that helpful to share for a moment?
I was just doing the same thing, but if you have it, that's fine.
Oh, sorry, it's giving me a hard time here. So these are the existing islands here. As John mentioned, we're not doing any new work to the parking lot, except right here at the entry where our new entry is. But this is that landscaping that, as Nancy mentioned, I can only assume kind of went into place when this building, this part of the building was done. But
That I think, and from my perspective, I think we'd want to get at least some type of opinion from town council as to what we might want to do on the encroachment issue, so that, I mean, if the town's okay with it, but it's clearly in the town right away, and, I know it's been there a long time, and it may be an improvement, and the town plows around it, but you can't really build a structure in a town right away, or anyone's right away, without permission. And even if they asserted, adverse possession, I'm not sure you can get adverse possession against the town, and then you'd have to prove that in land court. I'm not trying to make a big issue out of it, but it's pretty...
Well, I mean, these are landscaped islands. It is not uncommon at all to have landscaped islands and tree islands and things along and within the public right-of-way for a development. These have been here for many, many years. I will agree with you, and I think you can't get adverse possession against the town. I think you know that, and I know that, and we're not proposing that. Those were just landscape islands. Many developments that you see have those. I'm surprised that that would be an issue here.
Well, usually they're within their development.
No, often not. Often not. There are improvements along, your whole downtown zoning requires all different kinds of off-site improvements for public realm type of improvements. These were just ahead of its time. They've been there for at least 15 years. I think looking to have added expense, even looking into this, as well as if you're, looking at removing them, are an unnecessary added expense. These have been here a long time. They're on the public right-of-way. If the town wanted to come along and have them removed or ask us to remove them at some point, then that's certainly within the town's rights. But I think it's not anything we're proposing here. We're not proposing any additions, and they're landscaped islands.
Mm-hmm. Again, I think I would just, would say you, Josh, on that. I mean, as far as, I don't know if anyone else, I don't think anyone else commented on it, but, I mean, you've got, it's like they added, there's no sidewalk on that side, but it's like they added sidewalk plantings and so on, if you will, where there is no sidewalk, but to delineate their parking lot, but there's just, they don't own that land. They put it in there and somehow it got through, but.
Like many landowners that mow the lawn up to the pavement, which is within the street layout, it happens all the time. It's very common.
Sure.
If you saw that street view, it's just a straight line from one property. We're in between two different properties. That's just a straight line. If you remove them, I think that's actually going to cause issues when you plow the road and stuff like that, because then it'll be a big indentation into the parking lot. But it's a pretty straight line, and then I've been there since 2002, and that parking lot's always been like that since I've been there.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just pointing out that it's pretty obvious when you look at the plan.
And the engineering department has reviewed this plan in detail, and they did not raise this as an issue.
Okay. Oh. On the addition, on the interior addition, that's already constructed, so there's no additional proposed lighting for exterior? Any new lighting for the front of the building, entrance, or the rear addition? I'm calling it the rear, but it's
Right.
when you're putting above the gym space?
So there is, at both of the additions, we have some lighting around the exterior doors so that in an emergency, folks can see to get around to safety. So we have, at the front addition, there's a little bit of a canopy and there's a couple of downlights in there. We also have a couple of sight lights along the pathway so that, again, people can see if they come out one of those side egress doors from the pool or from our pool viewing addition. And then on the back, there is an existing sort of fire escape type stair, and now we're just adding a couple of lights so that, again, so that in an emergency, people can see to get around the building and back to safety.
Did we get any specs on those lights? I'm assuming they're shine down lightings or box lighting.
They are, yes.
Do we have specs on the plan, or were they provided to the town?
I believe we did provide lighting specs and on the detail sheet.
That's right.
Is that on the other set of plans?
We had, for small additions, we had 3 very large sets of plans for this.
Is that on the landscape and elevations plan?
Yeah. John, do you know which sheet the lighting details are? And if we don't find them tonight, we would take that as a condition that we would provide the lighting details.
Thank you.
I believe I saw them.
If it's helpful, I have the like sort of wall mounted fixture that provides that lighting up on my screen that I can share.
Okay, that'd be great.
Can everybody see this cut sheet?
Yep.
So this is a small, unobtrusive light fixture that is just mounted to the wall, like I said, around some of the perimeter areas. So there's a one, I think 2, 3 of them here, so that as folks come out of this fire escape around the back of the building, they can see. The same thing is true around the front. I think there's one of them over here as well, so that when someone comes out of this door, they can see to get around back to the parking lot. At this area, there's a canopy with just some recessed downlights. So again, we're not really making an aesthetic statement with these fixtures. They're more sort of meant to blend in.
So I'm assuming the fire escape exit lighting is only an emergency? People aren't going to be leaving
That's
the
right.
facility that way?
Exactly. That's emergency only.
Yeah, we do have neighbors, so that's why I just want to make sure the lighting is not obtrusive or a nuisance, so, which I'm assuming.
Right. So it is shine down only lighting.
Yep.
And they'll be on a photo cell.
Great. All right. At this time, this is a public hearing. I would open up to the public. If anyone in the public has a question, our famous audience member, Mr. Bradstreet, if you would please use the mic.
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. A couple of comments and a question. The comment I'd make would be that the community YMCA is an asset to the town and well-received and well-used as an asset. Recent visit to the building shows that modifications inside are desperately needed, overcrowded, what have you. One question I have is, would the cost of, say, a shallow well on the property be prohibitive to allow them to get their own water without having to buy it from the town?
Attorney McCann?
Well, we don't know that there isn't a well, first of all, and the price of, the cost of a well, I would suspect for the additions that we're proposing here would probably be an excessive cost. And the town does have the ability with special irrigation meters to allow that to happen. But again, we're proposing landscaping that shouldn't need to be watered, particularly, certainly after it's already established.
All right, thank you.
Just on top of that, the 20 years that I've been there, we've never watered the lawn once. So a lot of the stuff that we have is very, hardy, like you said earlier. And we usually get by with just having great shrubs and things like that, but we've never watered the lawn since we've been there. We don't have, thank you.
All right. So there's no hose. There's an irrigation system, though? There will be a system, or no?
I thought there was one, an irrigation system.
There is a system in that front courtyard. If you're looking at the building immediately to the right of the entry.
Okay. Any further questions from the board? Lou?
Yeah, just a couple. Just in terms of just picking up on Jim's point with respect to the I guess the concerns about Pickering Street. I know that in terms of we have as a condition right now in terms of I guess I'm just curious in terms of where we go from here, in terms of, because there is currently a condition in terms of to satisfy some of the comments from the engineering division. Would it make sense to include as a condition to include a review of any sort of possible encroachment onto Pickering Street from the town engineer? To include that as a condition.
Or the town could grant an easement,
What,
Town meeting to grant it, come on, I think this is a bit much for these little landscaped sections at the end of the parking lot aisles that have been there for over 20 years and provide definition for the site and provide some impervious surface in that area. I think that would be really an imposition on this applicant.
Is the applicant raising money for this through charitable donations, or are they seeking financing?
Is
My
that a
question is-
Section 4 question, Mr. Chairman?
Well,
How
my
it's being
question is,
financed?
if I were doing the loan, a commercial loan, looks like it's an encroachment.
Mm-hmm.
So the title is not clear. Says there's
I
an
would
encroachment.
disagree. I think
Oh.
the title is perfectly clear.
I don't know without reviewing the title, but that's definitely an encroachment on the town way, right away.
There is, and I suspect most residential homes and most businesses that have lawn areas that abut a public way, when the paved area of the way is further in towards the street from the layout, it always gets landscaped.
Mhm.
That's not uncommon at all. That's quite common.
It's not just the little, and I don't want to belabor this, but it's not just the little islands at the end of each parking field, but it's that long strip that runs the entire length of the lawn in front of the building. So,
Right, which is grass, which I suspect if you go down Pickering Street, you will find that on every home.
you may,
Mhm.
but it doesn't make it right. And I know it's a public facility, and we all love the Y, but I'm just making a comment, not just myself, but another member was concerned about it. So we would like to clarify it and cure the problem. I don't like to perpetuate problems, especially where you've come in front of us for review, which we're inclined to approve, but I think, at least myself, I don't like to leave a mistake on a plan if we can somehow cure it.
So you want the end landscaped islands that have been there for over 20 years removed?
I didn't say remove them. I said there might be a way to allow them by way of easement or,
An easement is town meeting.
yeah, well, we have town meetings every year, and, and we do have zoning town meetings every few years. What do you say, Joss? What's your take on it?
I'm wondering if there could be some type of condition that town staff, myself, engineering, other people who would be involved in such matters, reviews this item and works with the applicant, property owner, to see if this should be rectified in some manner, or what would be the most appropriate way to rectify this. Something, I'm just trying to put a condition
So
together.
it's not going to uphold the vote, it's going to be a condition that it is subject to further study in the best interest of the applicant and the town.
Something of that nature. I could write it probably better, not on the spot,
Right.
but I could draft a condition that I could share with the chair and or the development team before before the decision's filed, if we all feel appropriate, feel that it's satisfactory in some manner.
Yeah, so Lou, you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
Town staff would, in
What I
consultation.
have here is just that again, just from gleaning from what Josh was just saying, is that as the town staff review the issue of a possible encroachment on Pickering Street and work with the applicant to address it in the best interest of the applicant and the town.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Further discussion, Tori?
I don't know the origin of those little islands and whether they were intended as an improvement to the public realm or if they were an accidental incursion. But my kids did swim lessons at the Y, and so we walked or bicycled there a lot, many, many times. And what those do for pedestrians is they take this very large parking area with a whole slew of cars, and they actually make it very safe and comfortable for a pedestrian to go from the sidewalk on the opposite side into the parking lot in a manner in which they can safely get to the bike racks in front of the door. And I think it would just be a loss to everyone if we ended up removing those. So my suggestion is, we've recognized in the public meeting that there is an incursion. My suggestion is we leave well enough alone and just accept it, however it was intended, accept it as an improvement to the public realm.
I'm not sure we can make that determination, because it's town property. I think, you know, what it's designed to do is to kind of show where the parking field ends. So it does give you those alleys that people can come in and out of to give you a clear demarcation of access and entry points, which are definitely helpful. But the problem is they're, I don't know how many feet they're into the right of way, but they're definitely, they're not right on the line, at least by this depiction, and I don't know exactly what we're talking about for how many feet. Someone could probably tell us, who's
Just,
Mr. Riley, perhaps.
just as, if I could comment, Jim, through the chair, just a couple informational pieces to this. On Street View, it looks like these have existed since at least October of 2012. And I would agree with your comment about probably the origins or the motivations for them, in that they do, they kind of guide circulation, in that if they were removed, not necessarily advocating for that, but if they are removed, there's no demarcation, and it's just a very large, you know, the parking lot is just, it's just a large, it's a large
Yeah, I'm
parking
not
lot.
saying remove them, but if
Yeah.
they move them onto their property, they would lose probably, you know,
Right, you'd lose,
6 spaces maybe,
right, something like that, right, right.
or 5 spaces. I don't know. Jean, did you have a comment on it?
No.
Tim, any comment on this item?
No comment from me.
All right.
Jim, I just want to raise the issue.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and again, I'm sort of, you know, I'm not of the mind of necessarily of removing these items. I'm just concerned, having been brought to the attention that the possible encroachment exists, at least to look into it and just to see what, and potentially, you know, there could be a solution which doesn't involve removal of anything, but at least it's just, you know, we wanted to at least be able to, I think it just needs to be looked into.
All right. Yeah, because there's a couple trees that are, in addition to the raised beds, there's 2 trees that are on Pickering Street.
Street trees?
I can't tell. Maybe the design architect or landscape designer. Miss, I'm sorry.
We're not proposing any change there, so I suspect Jen doesn't know what kind of trees they are. They're trees along the street, so I guess I would put them in the category of street trees.
Definitely a street tree.
Correct, Nancy. I'm not sure what those species are,
Yeah.
because we're not doing anything there.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Just
Lou?
one last thing, just in terms of, I know it was mentioned about, we were discussing lighting, and was there an addition, was there, the applicant indicated that they'd be able to take as a condition something with respect to lighting? I just wanted to,
I think we were able to show you the lighting
understood, okay.
sheets that were submitted.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second.
Second by Tori. All in favor of closing the public hearing? Aye.
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 Tim?
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right, Lou, I'm going to have you read the decision.
Site plan review, 30 Pickering Street. Date of application, August 18th, 2022. Date of hearing, September 27th, 2022. No public testimony. October 25th, 2022. Date of decision, October 25th, 2022. The Danvers Planning Board finds the site plan submitted by the Community YMCA of Danvers for property at 30 Pickering Street, Assessors Map 42, Lot 151, to be in substantial compliance with the criteria and regulations adopted by the town. Details of the plan review can be found on the following plans. Permit site plan at 30 Pickering Street, Danvers, Massachusetts, 01923, prepared by Hancock Associates, dated August 16, 2022, revised to October 3, 2022, consisting of 5 sheets. Danvers Community YMCA, 34 Pickering Street, Danvers, Mass. 01923, prepared by SV Design, dated April 22, 2022, consisting of 11 sheets. The following submissions have been waived. 1. Section 4.3.1, Title Sheet, Section 4.3.1A. All existing dwellings and principal buildings are not shown on the title sheet. Section 4.3.1B. The land use of each lot is not shown on the title sheet. Section 4.3.1C. All lot lines in a general manner are not shown on the title sheet. Section 4.3.1D. Existing contours at 1-foot intervals are shown on the existing conditions plan, sheet C2. Section 4.3.1E. Principal natural features are shown on the existing conditions plan, sheet C2. 2. Section 4.3.2. Site analysis plan. No site analysis plan submitted. Existing contours are shown at 1-foot intervals on the existing conditions plan, sheet C2. Existing trees are shown on the existing conditions plan, sheet C2. Wetland boundaries and wetland buffer boundaries are shown on the existing conditions plan, sheet C2, and layout and materials plan, sheet C3. Location and results of soil test data is shown on grading, drainage, and utilities plan, sheet C4. 3. Section 4.3.3, Dimensional Regulations Plan. No dimensional regulations plan submitted. Proposed yard setback is shown on the layout and materials plan, sheet C3. A zoning table with lot area, yard setbacks, and building height is on the layout and materials plan, sheet C3. 4. Section 4.3.4, Site Construction Plan. No site construction plan submitted. The location of the existing buildings and new addition are shown on the layout and materials plan, sheet C3. Existing contours are shown on the existing conditions plan, sheet C2. A delineation of vegetated wetlands with buffers is shown in the existing conditions plan and layout and materials, sheets C2 and C3. The proposed location of drives, parking areas, curb cuts, and driveway aprons is shown on the layout and materials plan, sheet C3. Proposed drainage system in general is shown on the grading, drainage, and utilities plan, sheet C4. Proposed landscaping in general is shown on the grading and planting plan, sheet L4.01. 5. Section 4.3.6, Utilities Plan, Section 4.3.6A. The location and size of the town's existing water mains, sanitary sewers, and storm drains are not shown on the utilities plan. 6. Section 4.3.7, Landscape Plan. The landscape plan is not prepared by a registered landscape architect. Section 4.3.7A. The existing grades are shown on the existing conditions plan, sheet C2. Section 4.3.7B. The existing vegetative cover is shown in the existing conditions plan, sheet C2. Section 4.3.7CI. Existing trees is shown in the existing conditions plan, sheet C2. Section 4.3.7C II, there are no proposed trees to be removed. Section 4.3.7H, wetland boundaries and wetland buffer boundaries are shown on the existing conditions plan, sheet C2, and layout and materials plan, sheet C3. Section 4.3.7I, the yard setbacks from the lot lines are shown on the layout and materials sheet plan, sheet C3. Section 4.3.7J, a table showing the percentage of existing and proposed impervious surface is not shown on the landscape plan. 7. Section 4.3.8, off-street parking and loading plan. No site construction plan submitted. The number and location of driveways and maneuvering spaces or aisles is shown on the layout and materials plan, sheet C3. Provided landscaping is shown on the grading and planting plan, L4.01. A parking table showing the number of parking spaces is shown on the layout and materials plan, sheet C3. 8. Section 4.3.9, lighting plan. No lighting plan submitted. No new lighting is proposed with this project. 9. Section 4.4, a table of development data. No table of development data submitted. Administrative. The project is subject to the following condition. 1. The applicant agrees to satisfy all the comments in the Danvers Engineering Memorandum dated October 20th, 2022. This project is subject to the attached list of general conditions. Compliance review of the site shall lapse within 3 years from the grant thereof if construction has not begun by such date. Signed, James Sears, Chair.
If you could add that one additional condition
Yes,
we talked about.
yes. The additional condition is for town staff to review the issue of possible encroachment on Pickering Street and work with the applicant to address it in the best interests of the applicant and the town.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, can I just make sure that that additional condition that you've added in is not going to delay issuance of building permit or occupancy permit?
That's not the intent. So we could further add language that, could you read that back to me?
Sure, yeah, I got it. So I could say, as a condition, town staff, subject to the following condition, town staff review the issue of possible encroachment and work with the applicant to address it in the best interests of the applicant and the town with the, let's see, with the intent so as not to delay issuance of a building and/or occupancy permit.
Or this condition will not delay?
Yeah, yeah, we can get rid of the word intent, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, with the condition that this, with the condition, I'm saying
Yeah.
double conditions,
With the,
with the understanding, with the,
yeah, understanding
Yeah.
that this will not delay.
with the understanding that this condition will not delay the issuance of a building permit and/or occupancy permit.
Certificate of occupancy. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'll have, to
Motion's
wa-
been made.
I'll have to watch the video tomorrow to get it perfect, but
The motion's been made as amended. Could I get a second on that? Again,
Second.
second. Tori. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
All right.
Good luck.
We do have, the next item is, we have some meeting minutes from October 30th, I believe.
August 30th?
August, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrong month. Yes. Did everyone have a chance, except for Tim, to review those minutes
Yeah.
from August 30th? Any changes or corrections?
No.
Lou?
Move to approve the,
August 30th.
move to approve the minutes of August 30th, 2022.
congrats.
Motion been made.
Second.
Second from Tori, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Again, just reminding you of that, our next meeting is, I believe, the
November 8th.
November 8th. I will not be at that meeting.
I guess I would just request if there was any other members who will not be here or being able to participate, just knowing that Jim won't be here.
Yeah, so Lou will run the meeting as chair, and then I would have Tori be the clerk, because he's next senior member. And then, yeah, so you will need, applicants will need 3 out of 4 to get something approved.
Yep,
For
there
a
should be
vote.
2 items. Neither
Only
of
4 of
them,
us. There would only be 4 of us.
neither of them need a special permit. So, but yes,
Just a question, we're still, November 8th is election day, so we're having a meeting on election day?
we can.
I was asking just in terms of,
We don't necessarily have to. I guess
Is there
we could-
much in the way of an agenda?
There are 2 items.
because people may be voting, so I wasn't sure if that was.
Do we?
Lay it till
I guess we're all here. We should have that conversation. I guess if we think that.
What do we have on the agenda proposed, you know?
So there's a Blue Karma's proposing to do a couple additions similar to what was proposed at the YMCA, and there is a new self-storage facility at 13 Pope's Lane.
That's going to be Storage Alley, I think we'll call
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be here either way, so if you folks, is there anyone who can't make it, or you want, it's up to
I
you?
can make it. Doesn't make a
I'm fine
difference to me.
either way.
I can make, I can attend, yeah. I just wanted to make, I just
Right.
wasn't sure if there was any.
Cognizant of, you're right. Cognizant of the public. Right.
I
You're
just
saying.
wasn't sure if this,
Right.
in terms of public attending, and I wasn't sure if there was any sort of town, you know, if town meetings or committee meetings are not otherwise held on election day, that's all.
Sure.
That was more of a question.
I hear what the group's saying. I can circle back to confirm tomorrow if there is a policy that we can't or shouldn't be meeting on
Well,
that
back
night.
in the old days, they would use facilities like this to vote in.
Right. So from a practical
but-
standpoint, right.
Yeah, but now we don't have that issue where they vote at the high school.
Early voting and vote by mail. So.
That's true.
Right.
Tim, are you okay with that meeting on the
Yes.
8th?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, that's fine.
And again, reminding everyone that there is that Zoom meeting on the 9th, which is a Zoom meeting, I think you all would have received an email about that today for strategic plan. And that's going to be with the town staff, and I'm assuming ZBA is going to be invited to that and other boards, or?
I'm sure, yeah, everyone, the whole public, the whole town and everything. So
Okay.
there should be more information coming out shortly, hopefully.
And do we have kind of a wish list or like, I know we talked about it in a meeting a few meetings ago. Do we have like a kind of a focus as to what that's going to center around?
I do not. I could gather more. It's like going to be the first one.
Okay,
So I'm hoping in between now and then, if I get anything else,
okay.
it's sort of,
Like adaptive reuse and the.
Yeah,
movie
we talked
mall.
about them all, adaptive reuse and concerns like that, and,
sure.
yeah.
I think I think the thing that Aaron was talking about at the beginning here, prior to the meeting, we're going to get into in December when we potentially meet as a larger group. I think we're going to start getting into some of that stuff. So,
Okay, and then we also talked about maybe re-examining the downtown zoning and making it perhaps more builder-friendly, or,
yep.
you know, in your experience thus far with the new development at Hot Waters, how's that? I see they've been putting the water service in. Do we know how that's progressing? Is that moving along pretty good?
We're hoping. They are kind of preparing for demolition. I don't think they've.
I think it's at the end of the month. Everything's going to,
I think that they're trying or hoping to start demolition in the next couple weeks.
yeah.
So hopefully that will move forward. That will continue to move forward. But
Okay.
Mm.
And North Street's moving along.
the subdivision.
I can hear it every morning. They get a lot of ledge over there. So they're,
Mm.
7 o'clock wakes me up. Not that I'm not already up, but I can hear it.
Disturbs the morning coffee.
They had to come in with a bigger machinery because the other one wasn't big enough. But there's a lot of ledge over there, but they're getting through it. Anything else for staff or for the board? Tim, again, thanks for joining us. In that light, you look a little bit like the Packers quarterback. You might have to let your hair grow a little longer.
I'll be there in person next time.
That's all right.
So yeah.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move the way adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?